Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Awakening Network. This is the Ask Julius Show, episode number 124. Yes, 124. Incredible that we've already been able to, work with you, have you for so many shows, and ask so many questions to Julius and their group of entities. Thanks to Casey Spear. Hi, Casey. How are you?
I'm so good. Hoping everybody had a fantastic Sunday. If you're here in the U.S., it is Sunday. And beautiful day today, and always such a great way to start our week on Sunday nights with the show. So love this audience.
Absolutely. It's an incredible audience. Thank you, everybody. Gareth Nyman already here. Hello, everyone. Love this space. Absolutely. Who doesn't love this space? It's so special, and everybody has these incredible questions to ask. We're a little bit late today, but as you can imagine, there were those forces that be that sometimes show up for some reason. We don't know why, but anyway, it doesn't matter. There's always a way to reboot, restart, and have everything back in place. And obviously, we are here to help you respond your questions. Everything you always dare to ask and you didn't know who to ask, you are at the right place. Awakening Network, expanding the consciousness of humanity every single day. Again, this is the 124th episode of the Ask Julius Show. Rhonda Starlight also saying, hello, everyone. We love you back. Okay, so let me open the list of questions because we always have offline questions that we ask also. Love Line, Lori, wow, awesome setup. Great to see you guys. Absolutely great to see you too. And let me ask you those questions that we have offline. First question, Julius, that comes from Emery. Julius, oh, by the way, I'm going to make myself small and I'm going to be here, not disturbing anything. What are some books and teachings that are the highest level of consciousness that we can check out?
So, Master, there is some different masters will speak pieces of high consciousness. That is a truth. Most of them do not stay consistent, though, throughout the writing. Most of them you will find will vacillate back and forth still between the separate and singular perspective versus the unity consciousness perspective. And so it gets very, very confusing, and it keeps humanity or those who are going through the interpretation process still caught in a very disembobulated state of not understanding that they're source. The truth is, the statement that humanity needs is that you are source. That's it. You are source. You are source. Forget everything you've read. Forget everything that you've gone through an interpretation that speaks of an outside energy. But even at that very profound and powerful statement, Master, it is going against the programming that you've had. And so just like a fluffy have a nice day sign, people just pass it over. We are going to support at this time that we do not have a statement about a recommended reading for you.
All right, fair enough. The audience keeps coming in. 1 second, please. Greg Nyman. Julius, can you please talk about why when we choose to marry women, usually take the male's last name? It seems like it is to disempower women, not to mention the joke of a process. It is to take back your name when divorcing.
Yeah, this is such a powerful conversation. We've been having this conversation, and this could get into a subject matter, Master, even for a whole show. So we're going to take just a few moments. We're going to leave everybody with some energy and some thoughts to think about, okay? So, Masters, you choose your name. As a soul, you choose your name. We know that that doesn't seem that is a truth. It seems your parents choose your name or somebody else chooses your name. But the truth is you choose your name. You come in and you drop those ideas, those thoughts into whoever it is that is going to name you, okay? Now, not just the energy behind a name, but the spelling of a name can be extraordinarily strong or weak in its energetic composition. There's a study of nameology out there that is very powerful, and anybody who studies this will agree. You can take somebody's name and their original spelling, and you can go through with each letter, and you can pretty much come up with not only that person's personality, but in some cases, a little bit of their projection in their life, okay? That is a truth. Now, when anybody surrenders their last name in a type of a ceremony to their partner, they surrender part of their power to that partner. They do not write about this, but this is absolutely about energy ownership. Energy ownership, okay? Almost always in that process, whoever surrendered their name downgrades their energy and is usually energetically fighting for their empowerment during that union more than the other. Now, we know that some people are just going, oh, no, we just don't agree with that. We're just telling you, everything is energy, masters. Everything is energy. It is a truth. And for anybody who keeps the last name of their partner after a divorce, guess what? You're still linked to that person. You're still giving them your power. They still have a siphon up against you. It is a truth. And there is no coincidence out there. Those who have set up the system have done it to disempower mostly women, even though we get that the system now allows for male-male marriages and things like that, and that on occasion a male may surrender his name to the female's name, but straight across the board, it's about disempowering women and extracting feminine energy. It is the truth, okay? Once a woman breaks away, if she breaks away from a union of that sort and reclaims her original name, there's an extraordinary level of uplifting of her energy and her empowerment and her confidence and her projection that occurs. It's amazing, which is exactly why the system fights you doing it. It fights you doing it. Anybody out there who has ever surrendered their last name and then tried to go back to having their original born last name, the system fights it so bad. Nobody talks to each other. You need to brew this, you need to do that. It is a level of massive distraction and discouragement, and many people give up on doing it and therefore continue to surrender their energy. It is amazing. We encourage everybody to look at your name, go into the Nameology study and find out how interesting it is, how your name and the spelling of your name so often is related to who you are, and it can actually help you feel better about your name, especially for people out there who may not be too happy about ancestral lineage related to a name, but you may be amazingly relieved of that burden once you actually do a research on a name and position your own self as the one that's either going to change that legacy or the one who's authentically going to finally carry out the true nature of that legacy because it's a state of empowerment.
Wow. Wow. That's Greg Naiman is saying. Absolutely. What an answer. Thank you so much, Julius. Let's go to the next question. Love Androlin. Thank you. Nice to have you here again. Hello. What happens when you live in a household where some people stay in 3D and some move on to 5D? How does that work? Thank you.
Well, first of all, we're going to tell you you're living in 3D, Master. So you're getting dimensions mixed up with levels of consciousness, okay? You're in a 3D environment. If you're already in 5D, but it's a very etheric composition. So your body isn't going to go to that etheric composition. It's going to remain 3D. You're confusing dimensional density of matter with levels of consciousness, okay? Because people have tried to say that the 5D equals a fifth level of consciousness, but it does not. We're telling you it doesn't, okay? You can reach the fifth level of consciousness while being a three-dimensional being. In fact, you do. You ascend off of the earthship in your three-dimensional form once you hit the 6th level of consciousness while you're experiencing the 3D. That's what we did. That's what all ascended masters out of the 3rd dimension do. We don't convert over to a 5th dimensional being as before we ascend. We ascend in a 6th level of consciousness in the 3rd dimension. So that's the first thing we're going to tell you. But if you want to come back to the question in reference of if in a household you have a mixed combination of people who are the 3rd level of consciousness and the 5th level of consciousness, we'll say, so what? Everybody still interacts with each other. You just perceive things differently, and everybody ends up having a very different reality. But that's how it is always, masters. No matter who you are seated with, every single person has a different perspective. Every single person has a different vibration, okay? Now, the vibrations can match, and therefore you could have more in common, quote unquote, in common. You can have more common thoughts, but not identical thoughts. Know the difference, okay? Common thought is not identical thought. You do not identically think like any other soul. There is no need for duplication. That's why Source has fractaled, you as Source have fractaled yourself into infinite variation of what? Perception of yourself as Source.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Next question. Thank you, lovely Androline, for the question. The next question is from Cat55K. How do you choose your partner on an energetic level? Thank you.
Well, Master, you are always choosing your partner on an energetic level. You just aren't aware of that. You just aren't aware of that, okay? Anybody who comes into your realm, your interactive space, you are connecting energetically with them, always, okay? So you can't avoid that. You're an energetic being. You can't turn that off, okay? It's always energetic connection. So we're not sure what you're asking us. You're asking us, how do you do something you do? Okay, you always do that. You always do that, okay? We think maybe what you're saying is, how do you cut through the crap of illusion, falsehood, and deception? Well, Master, you do that through awareness and deciphering, okay? And that is a mastery for each one of you to practice.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Cat55K, for such an incredible question. Next question. And lovely Androlini saying, thank you. The next question comes from Sarah Sultana. Is Nameology on par with astrological signs?
Well, it's another form of breaking down clarity of who you are. Now, what's interesting is this. The Nameology, in a sense, if you think about this, at what point do you change and shift away from those limitations of personality descriptions, just like astrology, okay? So we're going to support that in many cases. When you are a lower consciousness being, you tend to adhere to predisposed characteristic descriptions of your personality put forth through exterior or energetic energies that you aren't aware that you're aligned with. So things like numerology, astrology, nameology, iridology, okay? So things like that are absolutely fascinating. Now, can you grow beyond those limitations? Of course. As you raise your consciousness, you very consciously and with clarity choose who you want to be, and you can change many things about who you are, and in fact may not end up being at all what some of those outlines are. And it's not that that's fixed in any way. Do not make a mistake. There's no law on that. So you might find with Nameology, you're like, you know what, the name just doesn't suit me. But we're talking about kind of a general blanket of where it is just fascinating to see that, right? But when you become a higher consciousness being and you are brave enough to take a really good look at yourself, hopefully without judgment, and say, you know, I don't want the frivolity of my whimsical nature. I want to be more disciplined, right? And you start working towards that. Or perhaps something about your personality might be constructed based on astrology or nameology, that maybe you're aloof and cold and you choose to warm up to people and be more loving to people, and you authentically turn into that. And then you kind of turn away or grow beyond the limited perspective. But it is just a fascinating research thing, especially when it comes to the different ways that names are spelled. So you can take a name, let's just take the name Kaylee, okay? So Kaylee can be spelled K-A-L-Y. It can be spelled K-A-Y-L-E-E. It can be spelled K-A-L-E-I-G-H, right? You take names that can be spelled many different ways, and it's really interesting to see the personality variations. And more often than not, it seems to match that person, but never, ever, ever be enslaved, imprisoned by anything, masters, that you created. Because do know this, you are source, and you created all of these thought systems. So never, ever, ever believe that anything outside of you has any stronghold on you other than you choosing to be who you choose to be.
Awesome. Thank you so much. What a question and what a response. Let me tell you that everybody's, really, really appreciative of all the questions. Let me make sure I'm able to show all of them, of the answers. Catch 55, thank you for showing me what I'm already doing. Love the discussion. Exactly. I'm really, really loving the discussion. And by the way, Angel Wings Amanda is back in the house. Hi everyone, good to be back. Absolutely. Let's go to a very nice question we just got offline. Is submission a virtue?
Well, we would not agree with that. So, but everybody has a perception, their own perceptions, Master. We do not believe that you are here to submit to anyone or anything. You are the creator of the all. So there is no power outside of you that you should be submitting to. And there's no necessary or need for anybody else to submit to you. Okay, that is a position of enslavement. That is a position of disempowerment. That is a position of agenda and requirement. It is a position of making yourself small, unheard, unseen. And it is also a position of believing that servitude is your destiny. And we will say that that is not a truth. That is definitively written by those who choose to disempower you. That is our perception.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Next question. Can you name, that's a very interesting question. Can you name one spiritual teaching you've abandoned because it no longer holds up to reason or experience?
Us personally, that God lives outside of us. It is not a truth. It is not a truth. And we wouldn't say that we abandoned it. We would say that we expanded that into a much further knowing of knowing that we are the all. For you see, Master, you are all thought. So you cannot abandon yourself in any way. That is the truth. All thought is you. Source is all thought. Though the demonstration of the position for which you hold in the frequency alignment of how thought is experienced, known, and demonstrated can change and shift depending on your vibration is where variation occurs.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Next question. 1 second. If enlightenment is real, it's another offline question. If enlightenment is real, why do enlightened people still suffer, age, and die like everyone else?
Well, we would say we think that you are probably misinterpreting enlightenment. So you may be thinking that enlightenment is equal to ascension. So enlightenment, Master, is a percentage of knowing yourself as the light. Okay? So some people are partially enlightened. Some people are medium enlightened. Some people are fully enlightened. Okay? So it's different levels of awareness. So enlightenment and awareness, consciousness, we will support are kind of synonyms of each other. So there are people who are partially aware that they are source, and so their physical bodies will still erode and decay and die off, and their soul will still extract itself from a physical embodiment because they are not fully enlightened. But a fully enlightened being will no longer do that. They will vibrate their energy at such a rate as to return to light, and therefore the reincarnative process would end for that being.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And now let's go for another 1 second. 1 second. Looks like technology today. It's gonna be fun. All right. If your God is just, why does divine justice look so much like human injustice?
It's your perception, Master. It's your perception. There is no justice to the divine. There is no need for justice because there is no judgment, okay, in the highest frequency. But that doesn't mean that all variations of thought don't play themselves out. And so everything reduced from full aspect love would lead to fear, and fear is binding, judgmental, and punishing. So everything is playing itself out in a variation of frequency. Most of the doctrinizations that you have become programmed with are of extremely low frequency, and they speak of punishment, and they speak of judgment, and they speak of reward, okay? But those are extremely low frequency perceptions, okay? There is nothing more alarming to somebody who is of very low frequency when they come to the awareness of the damage that they have done. Believe us, no external punishment could be more severe than when somebody becomes aware of what they have done to themselves. It always irons itself out with an extraordinary intensity, Masters, an extraordinary intensity, okay? When somebody has done something so wretched to another and it hits them, what they have done, that is when they will change. And that is when it is served to have that experience. And that is a truth.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Another offline question. Can you prove your spiritual experiences aren't just emotional projections?
But they are, Master. So you are not a physical being. You are thought and emotion. You are thought expanded into light. Your soul is the emotional processor of thought. Your brain cannot make anything up. Anything that your brain processes is. So what is your truth, Master? You just think about that, and it is so.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Next question, Rhonda Starlight. What's the best way to get rid of inflammation from the body?
Parasite detox. Stop eating sugar. Stop eating dairy product. That's what we will tell you.
All right. Excellent. One additional offline question. 1 second, please. Can you name one doctrine you've publicly rejected because it no longer aligns with truth of compassion?
All doctrines we have rejected, Masters. None is our truth at this time.
All right. Fair enough. All right. If your religion turned out to be false, would you want to know?
We don't have a religion, so we can't. There's no need for an answer to that question. Okay, so we don't do religion. We have gave up religion long ago, long before we even ascended off the earthship. Did we get rid of the doctrinization of religion? So we would turn the question back to you, Master. When you find out your religion is false, when you all find out your religions are false, what will you do? That is the question for the all.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Another great question offline. Is doubt the beginning of wisdom?
We're not quite sure how you're twisting that in your perception. What we will say is this. Doubt will lead you to a slow process, a weakened process. It will deaden your creativity. It will dim your light. You have nothing to doubt. You are everything. We wouldn't say that you doubt truths, You expand through limited truths, masters, and you will do that when a limitation no longer resonates with you. But we wouldn't call that doubt. We would call that awareness.
Thank you so much. As you know, at the top right corner of the screen, every single week you see this QR code. Take your cell phone, open your camera app, and just point your camera, your cell phone's camera, to that QR code, and it will take you to this incredible place where we take you every single week. And the thing is, every single week we have a different promo. Exactly. Thank you so much. That's exactly the QR code I was referring to. And guess what? We have a super special for this week again. But before we go there, we have another question from Sarah Sultana. When a sixth level of consciousness being ascends, this person simply seems to disappear to the rest of us left on Earth. I mean, how do people make sense of someone being here in 3D and then not?
Yeah,
No physical body.
Yeah, great question. It can sometimes, Master, just appear literally, just like you said, is where did they go? Where did they go? Most people might just think they walked out of the room, okay? But it's generally something that happens in phases, okay? So it's not like it's spontaneous combustion, sitting in front of you, okay? Usually as a progression of levels of consciousness, by the time somebody is a fifth level of consciousness being, they've reduced a lot of their interaction with people anyway. Okay, they're starting to really hang with truly likened energy frequency people, and they're all practicing this in the first place, right? And so it really is, the company that you keep, By the time a being is a sixth level of consciousness being, they're pretty much just interacting with fifth and sixth level consciousness beings. And so it's a regular phenomenon. It truly is. And a sixth level of consciousness being is also extremely mindful of its ascension. It usually does do it in private. It usually does it out in open spaces and out in nature. It usually tends to be very mindful about the theatrics, to leave people blindsided behind. They have no need to do that. They live in a space of extreme awareness and compassion and understanding. And they don't want to leave people with a worshiping aspect. Okay, so a truly mindful, which is always the case, sixth level of consciousness being, is not one to do theatrical performance in their ascension, because the last thing they want to do is leave the residual effect of earthlings or humanity in any way worshiping that which they are, knowing that that simply stunts their conscious journey.
Wonderful. Thank you. Next question comes from Elizabeth Wolf. Nice to see you, Elizabeth. Hi, Julius. Last year or so, I noticed that my body is leaning to the right. Is it an entity issue or the physical issue?
Great question.
How do I correct it? Thank you.
Yeah, great question. So one way of looking at it, Master, is the energies on your body. So the right side of your body is masculine energy. The left side of your body is feminine energy. That's for everybody. It has nothing to do with whether you're male or female. These are the energies. So your leaning to the right could have something to do with either your masculine and feminine is out of balance. It may be you trying to draw awareness to your masculine energy in some way, possibly something that needs to be healed. And it also could be that your soul is misaligned in your body.
Excellent, fair enough. And now it's the time to go to this incredible offer of this week. Let me go here and show you exactly what I am referring to. Let me take this question out. And here is the incredible landing page of the offer for this week. How to change the foundation of your relationship from fear to love. This mind-blowing class will be the provider of how to shift all relationships in your life from limitation to expansion. What about love-based relationships? What if you have been thinking you have love, but really you have attachments and needs? What a great question. What a great session. This is a 3-part online workshop on Zoom, October 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Remember, today is October 19th. And all those 3 different workshops, online workshops are going to happen at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tell us all about it, Casey.
Oh my gosh, this one again. Of course, all the classes are for everybody, but we have long had discussions where Julius is talking about how we as humans do attachment relationships because we all have wounds and we all have traumas. And so we attach to things, and we usually get married out of needs. Okay. We have friendships out of needs. We get jobs out of needs. So almost everything that we do in our lives, relationship wise, it is about need. Or fear and need, excuse me. And all of that is extremely low vibration. And that's why most relationships fail. Most all of them do. If you look at the divorce rate, we don't even need to talk about the percentage of divorce rate out there. Most friendships come to an end at some point. People are struggling with, family relationships and things of that nature. And of course, we lean into all kinds of trauma bonding and issues like that. And when you're on a conscious journey, this really can become another level of difficulty. And we know that everybody out there listening is going, Usually couples don't go on a conscious journey together. Usually families don't go on a conscious journey together. A lot of times friends don't go on a conscious journey together. You can end up doing this very singular or solitary. And once you shift your energy, a lot of times these relationships collapse and they go away. And people have always asked Julius, well, can you change that? Can you change a relationship? Even if the relationship starts out in a very fear-based vibration, can that change in the relationship? Of course, Julius assures us that it can. This class is going to be all about that. And so it's two modules of Julius talking always, and then the Q&A. The Q&As go 2 hours long. Everybody has so much fun where they get to dive deep and ask all their questions. So this class may save some of your relationships, right? If you want some of them saved. But it's going to be a tough one. It's going to make you take a very deep, long, hard look at your relationships. Obviously, your participation in it, your part in it. And then, of course, it's going to dive into every angle about obvious participation from the other people in the relationships and how that works. So everybody should be taking these classes. They're all relatable to everybody. If you are in a relationship that is really struggling and you're really wondering, can it be saved? This could be a class for you to take. This is a preventative class for anybody who wants to keep their relationships rich and full. And this might actually be an evaluative class for you, where you're not sure if my relationship is fear-based or love-based, and you might want to come here to find out. And then you want to find out how to change that, how to shift that, and how to make something work for yourself. It's going to be a great conversation.
Absolutely. It's going to be an incredible conversation. Remember, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, US, October 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. And there will be replays available in video and audio. Yet again, an incredible workshop, an incredible session for you all. All right, and let's go to the next question. Let me stop sharing the screen. And here is the next question from Greg Nyman Jr. Julius, how do you figure out what you can choose to heal versus just staying in the status quo, thinking you are doing your conscious journey? What a great question.
Yeah. Your healing can and is your expansion. So that's what's interesting, right? We tend to target things for healing. And these are usually the things that are emotionally painful, emotionally challenging for you. You can usually get a grip of, something that holds you back. It's your fears, okay? It's your fears, your pains, your sadnesses, your depressions, your angers, all of these things that many people call triggers are places for you to do emotional healing, okay? And that is you being willing to take a very good look at yourself, which is what a conscious journey is about. So they go hand in hand together quite nicely. When somebody is not particularly on a conscious journey and they seek healing, then it can get right down to, studies and logistics and behavior modification for them to a certain extent. But if they don't get into the emotional component, which is a type of awareness, which whether or not somebody likes it or not has something to do with being on a conscious journey, then actual healing won't really take place. But you don't always have to mention that to people because that can freak people out. I don't want to be on a conscious journey, right? But when you're doing both, you're doing both. Okay? That's basically what we want to say. Things aren't necessarily always healed. Sometimes they're just fixed temporarily, and then they'll return and you'll find out it's not healed yet. Then it might be wise for you to look at the conscious journey so that you can get true healing and expanding rather than fixing in your life. But Master, some people love to be fixed. They just love to fix and fix and fix and fix and fix and fix and fix because, man, it makes for great distraction, which gives them all kinds of excuses to not do their conscious journey.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Next question. If consciousness is a fundamental aspect of the universe, how can individual souls maintain their distinct identities while being interconnected within this universal consciousness?
Yeah. So, Master, you aren't an individual soul. What if we told you that? There is no thing as individuality. That's a perception. That's a perception. So that may just answer your question right there. Okay. You are a fractal. You are a fractal. We would encourage you to look at the kaleidoscope at the beginning introduction of the show, which is why it's there. So you are a fractal. And while you are in the experience of your fractalized version of yourself, you give yourself permission to perceive yourself as anything that you choose. While you are in a low vibrational aspect, you will perceive that you are separate from all of consciousness, and thus your experience will demonstrate that perception for you. As you grow your vibration, you will come back to the unity consciousness aspect and realize you are all of it, and your reality will be reflective of that perception as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. This question, you're gonna love this question. Actually, it's sometimes it looks like I have to be very humble here. Sometimes it looks like we've already received every single possible question, right? Until you get this other one. So listen, it's a little bit long, but it's all worth it. Can the existence of multiple parallel universes or dimensions imply that the spiritual enlightenment in one realm affects the state of consciousness in others?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, because there's nothing that's separate from each other, Master. That is a truth. Separation is only your perception of separation. That is a truth. So consciousness is always affecting itself. Okay? And so it absolutely does affect. But it doesn't have to override. So this is where it gets extraordinary, okay? And this is where all possibilities simply are, okay? Because you have free will. So you will experience your thoughts and your vibration and your perceptions as a demonstration of itself within consciousness as it exists. As you open yourself up, you will know this, you will feel this. But dimensions and realms aren't really separate, Masters. It's a ball of yarn that you're rolling around in. So most people don't understand that. They think of even dimensions and realms as linear, okay? But the truth is most everything is chaotic. Most everything is ultimately chaotic. There's lineage within the chaos, but not chaos within the lineage. Chaos dominates. You get to think about that one, just like you thought we were going to think about your question. Sending you so much love.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Next question from Tara. Hi. What is the cosmic joke and what is the true purpose of humor?
So humor is really, Master, the ability to look at yourself and not take yourself too seriously. That is really what that is. Seriousness is a form of judgment, and humor is unlimited potential. That's what we will say.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And the next question, how can one differentiate between genuine spiritual revelation and psychological or neurological phenomenon that mimic spiritual states?
That's a great question. So we will always say that neurological aspects has extreme limitation to it based on programming, and authentic spiritual conscious alignment is everything never-endingly and infinitely expanding. So you would have to take a look at where your thoughts end, or if they do, to differentiate between the two.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Another quick question offline. What is the ultimate purpose of divine intelligence?
So, Master, you are all consciousness, and it desires to know itself as the all. We do not call that a purpose. We call that an intention. Okay? A purpose is something that you are supposed to do, and there is nothing that divine consciousness is supposed to be doing. It is doing the all in order to know itself as the all. Purpose is a humanized doctrine formation for limitation and enslavement. That's what we will tell you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Let me have a look. Sony Dean is in the house. Come on. Thank you. Nice to have you here again. Hi, beautiful souls. Julius, what kind of thoughts we can produce and activate for our well-being? Well-being.
What kind of thoughts, Masters? High vibrational thoughts, thoughts of unlimited potential, thoughts of love. Everything high vibration will assist you out of all forms of limitation. Your limited aspects of your lives, your limited aspects of your body, the limited aspects of your relationships, your wellness, even your knowing that you are thought, or our source is related to all of your ongoing thoughts and the way that you perceive those thoughts. So we would encourage your thoughts to be of possibilities and love, and we would encourage your emotions to be of possibilities and love as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Remember, this is episode number 124 of the Ask Julius Show. It means that we started more than 2 years ago, and it's been an incredible journey. 124. Remember, every single Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, US, you will see us here. And Casey channeling Julius and their group of entities and responding so many questions. And Sony Dean says, thank you, thank you, thank you. Absolutely. Let's go to the next question. How does the integration of advanced spiritual technologies or consciousness augmentation challenge the traditional notions of alignment?
We would say that it's a challenge. We would say it's another type of programming. That's what we would tell you. And it's not new. It's not new. All physical realms go into types of artificial intelligent technologies, but it is not ultimately going to get you. Nothing artificial is going to ultimately get you to a space of knowing yourself as source. We will guarantee you that. Should we say that again? There is nothing artificial or programmable that can happen to you to know yourself as source. Do you know why? Because you do not use your brain to be aligned with your consciousness.
Excellent. Thank you so much. How does the concept of time as a human construct influence our understanding of eternal truths?
It limits it. That is a truth. It really puts a limited chokehold on you. And it adds to your frustration. It adds to your impatience. It adds to judgment. So it's a very limited perspective. And it really was never designed to be that way. Time was never supposed to be something that rolls itself out. Time is supposed to be an option for thought potential based on a vibrational shift. But those who couldn't do it constructed time. That's what we will tell you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. How do advanced beings interact with human souls?
Like this. Next question.
All right, fair enough. Is there a universal blueprint or archetype for a spiritual awakening?
It depends on the experience that you're having, Master. So you are having unlimited, infinite experiences, and everything leads to you knowing yourself as source. Each embodied experience has kind of a process based on the way that configuration does its life. Different dimensions, different realms. A humanoid version plays out consciousness differently than the felines do here in your third dimension, or the canines do, or the avians do. Okay, so every costume that you wear has a blueprint that will help you to lead yourself into knowing that you are source. For the human experience, it is the 7 levels of consciousness expanded, which you can find on the Channeling Julius website. It's a really great blueprint for any and all of your spiritual practices that you're doing as a 3-dimensional being. But that is just a way of knowing yourself as the All Master, because you will also traverse into all of your possibilities while you are not materialistic. And in which case, there is no written or teaching application at that space or level. There is just exploration. And that does not have a blueprint to it.
All right, thank you so much. And Jim is asking an offline question. What role does collective consciousness play in shaping individual spiritual experiences?
Well, you are always tapped into that, Master. So you draw all of your thoughts and your emotional essence of in your conscious reality, that you are consciousness. Okay. So everything comes from a thought. We will equate thought to consciousness. So we would say, what role? It launches everything.
Excellent. Next question that comes from Edward. Can the concept of a soul be empirically validated through mystical experiences?
Master, everything that you are doing validates yourself as a soul. Your soul, do you even know what a soul is? Okay. The soul is the emotional processor of thought. Every emotion and every thought that you process is you knowing yourself as source through some form of perception that you have formulated along your journey based on your vibration. Okay? That is what you are doing. That's what you are doing. And a soul is not individual. It is an expansion of thought. So consciousness and soul are not separated. They are one in all, as is all vibration and all frequency. So everything expands itself.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. How do near-death experiences shape our understanding of the art afterlife? Is asking Edward again.
So we would say there's no such thing as a near-death experience because there's no such thing as death. Okay, we know it's described that way. So we will agree that humans describe it as a near-death experience because you believe in death. But it is just an out-of-body experience. It's a magnificent out-of-body experience. It's a full out-of-body experience. And people do it all the time. You do it in your sleep. You do it several times in your lifetime. Lots of people do it through, having an accident or, things like that. But it's just an out-of-body experience, Master. And when you go out of body, depending on what you allow yourself to experience, you can get a much broader perception of yourself as source than when you are in your body distracted by the physical. That's what we will say.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And now we have a question from Sony Dean. Julius, you said once that love is not located in the heart. Where does the love come from?
Master, you are love. Love is everything. It is all consciousness. It is the frequency of everything. That's what we will tell you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. In what manner, Jim, again, do concepts like reincarnation and karma influence not only individual lives, but also shape collective and planetary evolution?
It's just a low frequency perception, Master. It's not the truth of the all. It is It's just a rule and a thumbnail based on judgment and punishment and reward. That is a low consciousness perception. Those of a low consciousness perception will experience those things because you are the creator of your reality based on your perception. As you grow past all of that, none of that affects you anymore.
Wonderful. And that was the last question of today's show. Again, what an incredible show. As I said before, as we typically say here, we are open, so open to all your questions. It was great to be here. Thank you so much for everybody that was here today asking so many questions. And Greg saying, thank you, Casey, Julius, Angel, and the Julius crew. We are so amazing, aren't we? Absolutely. We are all one, and we are so amazing. It is a pleasure to be here every single Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next week, the 125th episode of the Ask Julius Show. And, the questions this week have been out of this world, as we could only expect. It's always like that. Any final words, Casey?
Amazing. Thank you, everybody, for your energy and your inspiration and your interaction. Please share the show. Please like us. Please support us. Subscribe to us. Those are the things that we ask. Please visit the website, channelingjulius.com. Please Google Angel Rebo. Go to his website. Go to Angel. Tell everybody your website. Is it Wisdom for Kids? What is it?
Yeah, it's wisdomforkids.today. Wisdomforkids.today.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody visit that site. He does incredible work. And there's always ways for people to participate in that as well. So everybody continue to check things out. That's what we ask from all of you, right?
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. We love you. And we appreciate that you have been here. As every single week, we have a special. Remember, we're going to leave the QR code here up until the very end of the outro video so that you can scan it and you can sign up. And if you have any questions, send an email to support@channelingjulius.com. Support@channelingjulius.com. Thank you so much. See you next week on the 125th show of the Ask Julius Show. Thank you. Have an incredible week. We love you. Bye-bye.